It's time for the main event. It's the SHoeshine.
All right. ¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Happy Memorial Day from the staff at SHoeshine Boxing Enterprises. Nah, I'm just playing. It's your boy Dave from the 408. It's just another SHoeshine Monday on a special holiday. So shout out to everybody who's served our country. Drew, Philly Irish Drew Evo, all the way from Philadelphia, if I didn't mention that. Happy Memorial Day, brother. What's cracking?
Same to you. What a waste of a fight.
Waste of a fight. Hey, did you have a good 3-day weekend, though? Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. In fact, I was still partying at lunchtime today, so and I had to take a midday nap, man. And here I am. I'm gonna have one more beer because back to work tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it at all. But let me say saludos to everybody who's hopping in the chat room right now. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your Memorial Day to listen to me and Drew Evo, because this weekend, the rescheduled, much anticipated fight between, let's see, is this still Floyd Mayweather's star protege, Drew? Is he still the protege of Floyd, or what happened with that? But anyways, it ended in one of those, Drew, how do you like to put it, Drew?
You got knocked the fuck out, man.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Oh, man. And let me tell you something. A lot of people caught on to the Rolly Romero hype train a little bit late, you know, because this fight was perfect for casual boxing fans on a holiday weekend, a 3-day weekend, being brought to you by TMT, you know, Leonard Ellerby and the Showtime pay-per-view people. Drew, they managed to get a lot of people interested in it because of Rolly Romero, right? The guy who had been accused of sexual assault charges. The charges were never stuck. He gets a second chance to make some big money and get that bag, as they say, right? And Drew, what did he do with his opportunity? He says he won 6 rounds. He says he was winning the whole fight. I never seen Tank Davis throw so little, Drew. And as a matter of fact, man, I got to be honest. I thought Rolly was having some success early on, right? I mean, it is very plausible he was winning almost every round up until, you know, what was inevitable, man. And remind me, Drew, what did you say your prediction was for a what? An early knockout, like really early, right?
Like 5.
For some reason, I thought you had said 3, but 5 is very reasonable. Shit, it only took a round more than what we saw in the ring that Saturday night. But let me just say, in case anybody missed that picture, man, I got one of these. You get that thank you after paying for the fight, Drew?
No, I did not.
I don't think many people pay. Who pays for the fights, man? Listen, Showtime has been the king of pay-per-view. I know DAZN's getting a lot of shit for being pay-per-view now with the Canelo being back on DAZN. But Showtime, since the year started, has been the king of pay-per-view. Everything is pay-per-view. Even the heavyweights is pay-per-view. So I have to ask you, Drew, is Tank Davis the second biggest, largest draw in terms of ticket sales and pay-per-view, only second to Canelo Alvarez? Is he the second biggest draw?
By ticket sales, yeah, but pay-per-view numbers haven't really done good for him.
Already off the top, I got Chicano Prophet. Saludos al Chile. A great boxing podcast. Make sure you check out his channel. He says, I didn't pay for it, but I know you watched it. Because that's the thing, Drew. Us boxing fans are going to find a way to watch it, whatever it takes. It's not very difficult to watch it and not pay for it. That's why I say the pay-per-view model is broken. Just forget about that bullshit. But listen, this place was star-studded. You had Madonna was there. Madonna in her 60s, still looking good. I gotta tell you, I don't give a what anybody says. Madonna still looks good at 60. I saw some people talking shit on Twitter. What are you guys? What's wrong with you guys? Madonna still looks good. You know who else was in the house? Ryan Lying Garcia wearing a tuxedo. And it wasn't like, like he's supposed to be a model. So I would think that he'd go out and get a tuxedo, a nicely tailored tuxedo that like an Italian crooner singer would wear. This shit was like, looked like he just grabbed it off the rack at Burlington Coat Factory, man. It was the worst looking tuxedo I've ever seen. Why is Ryan Garcia at the fight? Okay, I know they've said that these two mega stars are going to fight, right? Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis shows up to the fight when we just heard that Oscar De La Hoya has re-signed with DAZN for 3 years. Golden Boy's going to keep showing their fights on DAZN. And if you haven't been following that, Jaime Munguia was going to fight Charlo at some point. But Oscar said, listen, if DAZN's not part of the pay-per-view special, no dice. I don't give a shit. So it's Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy holding back their fighters from getting these top fights. Well, the promotional companies are getting in the way. I don't know why Ryan Garcia is there simping. Drew, can you tell me? I mean, is he going to get a fight with John? I mean, we know who he's going to fight. It was announced, I think, today.
Javier Fortuna.
Javier Fortuna. Guys, please, somebody in the chat, let me know or give me a call, man. Should I be excited about him fighting Javier Fortuna, the guy he was scheduled to fight? What, wasn't he scheduled to fight him 2 years ago? And then he had that big mental health breakdown? And now we get to, after we've seen Jojo Diaz beat Fortuna, now I'm supposed to be excited about, that's Ryan's next opponent. And am I being too hard? Because really the truth is, Drew, if Tank Davis is the second biggest draw in boxing, why is he fighting fringe contenders like Rolly Romero, who took up boxing late AF in his life? I mean, we've seen his pad work. You've seen his media press day when he's shadow boxing. And yet he did surprisingly well for five or six rounds while it was going. He did surprisingly well. Why did he do so well, Drew?
Because Tank really couldn't think of a way to get the Rolly. Like, let me tell you something. That was a better fighter. I don't think he would have won. I don't even think he would have got that knockout. Because Rolly's too undisciplined. Rolly had a good game plan. Rolly stays on the outside. And it was working, but, Rolly is too undisciplined enough to go inside, be unorthodox, and let himself be open, and that's what happens. Tank gets a lucky shot off. And I've been having arguments and debates with people all day about, like, why Tank isn't fighting better opposition, like, why Tank ain't fighting the likes of, like, Lomachenko, Kambosos, Teofimo, and all of them. And the thing about it is, someone wants to bring money and wants to bring network into it. No, you don't bring networks into this shit, because networks worked together before. Top Rank has worked with fucking PBC to have Tyson Fury on a PBC show, and they even co-promoted together. So don't give me that fucking bullshit excuse. For the right fighter, they're willing to break the rules, right? You just mentioned it. For the right guy. Yeah. But why is Floyd so adamant against letting Tank Davis fight out of network? Like they say that in healthcare. Oh, no, you're going to have to pay for that guy because he's out of network. Because he don't think Tank can beat Lomachenko. That's it. He doesn't think that he stands a chance against only Loma, or what about Teofimo Lopez? What about Teofimo Lopez? What about Kambosos? Kambosos and Teofimo can pose threats to Tank. I think he beats Ryan Garcia, and I think he beats Devin Haney. but he definitely does not beat Lomachenko.
All great lightweight opposition.
Lomachenko will box circles around him, embarrass him, and stop him inside 8 rounds. I don't care what anybody says. And here's another thing about it too when it comes to fighters. If it comes to money, if you use money as the excuse, I don't make much money fighting him or nothing, man. Or nothing, that's a duck. But if you're in negotiations and it doesn't work out, I can't consider that a duck. And people don't understand that. I got into a debate with people earlier about this, and they're like, well, Tyson Fury won a 60-40 with AJ when his comeback fight. I'm like, Tyson Fury wasn't even consider fighting AJ in his comeback fight. He fought a nobody in his comeback fight. So what the hell are you talking about? And plus, if they were in negotiations and Fury won at 60-40 and it didn't work out, you can't consider him ducking Anthony Joshua if they were in negotiations. It just didn't work out.
I heard that. Let's take this call from the 510, the 5 and dime real quick. Hey, you're on with the SHoeshine.
What's up, Drew? What's up, Dave? Nando, how you guys doing?
Nando, what's up, homie? We're talking about the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, man. What were your thoughts on this? Was this a circus show, man, or was this a really entertaining fight for the holiday weekend?
Honestly, dude, I'm not one to talk about that fight because I totally skipped it. I was like, man, the whole card was trash from top to bottom, man. I skipped it, homie. I went to Monterey for the weekend, man. Screw that. I had better things to do.
You can't go wrong with Monterey on a holiday weekend. I love the Monterey Bay, man.
Yeah, I will, dude.
So, did you get to catch the fight in replay to see at least the knockout of Rolly Romero?
Yeah, I saw the fight, dude. It kind of went the way it kind of went the way I thought it was gonna go, man. Like, I thought Tank was gonna be patient and let the awkward, not that great of a fighter like Rolly make a mistake and make him pay for it. That's exactly what he did. It took him to a 6th round. But he waited for Rolly to make a lunging punch or whatever it was. Kind of like the Pacquiao Marquez number 4 fight, right? Where Pacquiao came lunging in, and got caught, and that's exactly what happened to Rolly too, man. I wasn't surprised, dude. Dude, Mayweather is the greatest matchmaker of all time, dude. He just is, man.
So because you say that, I gotta ask you. I have to ask you. That's a good point. But is Gervonta Tank Davis better off on his own now? Is he ready to start Gervonta Tank Davis Promotions and go solo just like the master per se, Floyd Mayweather did, leaving Top Rank? Is he ready for that?
I think he is ready, but does he want that? That's more of a question, right? Because right now he's making he's cashing big checks and not really having to fight anybody for him. You know what I mean? So if he goes to Top Rank's going to throw him in the deep end right away, right? Try to get their money back right away. I mean, Devin Haney barely went to Top Rank. He's already fighting, Cambosos in his first fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point you're making.
Loma hasn't been babysitted at all. Teofimo hasn't been babysitted at all. They don't do that at Top Rank, man. They put you in as soon as they can, man. So I don't think Tank is ready for that. Matchroom might baby him a little bit, but not much. Golden Boy throws their guys in the deep end right away as soon as they can too. Or at least they try to match them up against each other. Like if for instance, if Tank went over to Golden Boy, you can see him having to fight somebody like William Cepeda or JoJo or even Ryan right away. They're not gonna let him fight any more of these Raleigh guys. You guys just hanging out at the gym, sparring and shit. They're not gonna throw him in there with those kind of guys anymore.
That's real interesting. By the way, the expression art imitates life, man. For some reason, the TV show Martin had predicted Rolly Romero getting knocked out, man, because it looks like Rolly Romero. But looking at Martin Lawrence here, bro. But no, you're onto something here, Nando, because Tank's got 2 choices. He can 3 choices. He can remain with Floyd Mayweather and keep getting these crappy fights that Floyd manages to sell fairly well to the general public, enough to put in and fill out and literally sell out a lot of places like Atlanta and Brooklyn now. Or he can take a much more challenging route and do exactly what Devin Haney did and go for undisputed and sign some kind of 2 fight deal with Top Rank. I love that idea, man. I think what about you, Drew? Top Rank?
I look at it like this. I have to disagree a little bit with what Nando was saying about Golden Boy because they haven't done nothing really behind him here. His best fight is still against Spike O'Sullivan. That's the best fighter he fought on his resume. And Ryan, they're just really, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Ryan. They're trying to see, he was supposed to fight. He's going to fight the guy he was supposed to fight. God hope he don't back out this time around with Javier Fortuna. But he probably won't because Jojo Diaz beat him as a replacement. Matchroom has protected Conor Ben a little bit and having him fight semi people. Like they haven't really pumped the brakes. They haven't really pumped the brakes off of Louis Piccoli yet in the cruiserweight division. Like Top Rank is probably the only one that's trying to get their money back right away and having these top guys fight each other. And I think that if he goes to Top Rank, he's going to have to fight possibly the winner of Kambosos or Haney, or fight the winner, or fight Lomachenko, which his management team might not welcome because he's going to say, Lomachenko don't make me that much money. But as I said before, if you're going to talk about you don't make much money fighting somebody, you're ducking the motherfucker.
Hey, Drew, while we have Nando on the phone, Nando, do you think the biggest fight in boxing, as some of these promoters are trying to say, is literally Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Is that the biggest fight we can make?
It's not the biggest fight we can make, but I think something good could come out of it. For instance, like I think they could both become stars out of it, like legitimate stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's a great fight, they both have their own little followings, right? Ryan has his own little following, so does Tank, right? They haven't necessarily crossed over to the casuals as much as people think they have, but if they fight each other, man, that's a big fight, and it has the potential of elevating both these guys, right? And that's really what needs to happen. You guys need to start fighting each other. You need to have Sorzel take on Bivol. You need to have Munguia take on Jamal, and you need to have Tank take on Ryan, and then we go from there, But them agreeing with Drew, them not fighting anybody or like kind of fighting the same level, low level fights. We're not going to go anywhere with that. They're not going to go anywhere with that.
They're spinning their wheels.
Fights make fights. You guys need to like be not so married to that. Like Top Rank. Bob Arum gets this like reputation for being stuck in the past, for promoting like with the antiquated style, right? But as far as I can tell, Mayweather is the one with the antiquated style, man. He thinks everybody should have a zero for as long as possible, and that's the only way to make a star. That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. That's that's not how you make a star. You make great fights, make great fighters.
I thank you for saying that.
I look at it like this: if you're making a minimum, if your contract says you're making a minimum of $1 million a fight, and you keep fighting this low weight opposition, and you're being fed this low weight opposition, why? Like the promotion is going to be like this. We're making a little bit of money still. Why feed him? Why give him a big fight if he's still making the money he wants, and we can still get success and feed him low weight competition? That's what Floyd Mayweather like. Floyd is promoting Tank the way Floyd promotes himself.
What Nando was saying. I'm sorry to interrupt, but what Nando was just saying about not being stuck with that old antiquated thoughts of having to have a perfect record. The two guys that just fought Tank Davis, I think that their star and their television appeal and their name recognition skyrocketed after fighting Tank. I'm talking about Pitbull Cruz is now someone that's always on a lot of people's minds as a contender at 135 pounds. And dare I say, Rolly Romero really impressed a lot of people, not only on what he brought to the table in the build-up to the fight and being an entertaining heel, but also he didn't do so bad in the ring, whereas he actually looked like he's going to give other people problems. Am I right or wrong about at least the Rolly Romero thing?
I look at it like this. If you compare that to fights like Luis Ortiz winning every round before being knocked out in round 2 against Deontay in the second fight against Deontay Wilder. If you compare other fighters that were winning the fight, all the rounds until they were knocked out, They were all good fighters. Roy Romero is not a good fighter. And he got a good offensive game plan going and defensive game plan going on Tank, and actually was able to hit him and counter him until he was knocked out. So if you want to compare that shit, Tank did not really look spectacular against Rawley. And if you want me to rate Rawley, I will give him a C- level. He's a C- level fighter. And I just really thought Tank really had a hard time until Rawley went on the inside and walked into a punch. And he got and that was a lucky punch. I don't care what anybody says. It was a lucky punch that he caught him with, and it stopped him.
I'm not sure I agree with that lucky punch, Drew. I've watched that in replay in slow motion repeatedly, and it's like his split level timing. Like it was almost that when he knocked out the guy from Michoacan, Santa Cruz, Leo Santa Cruz. Exactly, man. He's like he saw that punch coming, and again because he tried it for the second time, and if you see it in slow motion, he was just a half step ahead of Raleigh. Perfectly timed. And I think that's why he gave up so many rounds. And I also want to say, maybe Rolly Romero is not a great fighter. I actually think he is a fighter. He's not a skilled boxer. I'm going to continue to say that. This is a guy who started really late, and he's going to have a lot of catch up to do. But put him in against the right people at 135 pounds, and PBC will have a use for him. And, and he made a name for himself. So hopefully he'll keep himself out of trouble. Going back to the zone thing with Tank Davis, if Tank Davis stays with Floyd Mayweather, we can forget about seeing that Ryan Garcia fight. We can absolutely forget it because they've made it very public that the zone has to be on top of the pay-per-view if those two fight, which is something Al Heyman will never agree to, right? I mean, even Canelo had to take that deal with Caleb Plant and do it on Showtime pay-per-view, one-time deal, and Oscar's just not going to stop protecting his little prodigy boy.
It's like this. If it's gonna be a pay-per-view fight and everything with Tank and Ryan, Tank's the A side. And I'm sorry if it disappoints a lot of Ryan Garcia fans, but unfortunately Tank is the A side of this. Because he has if you look at it, he's been on pay-per-view. Ryan hasn't. So
great comment.
To really put it out there that it should be on DAZN, no. You guys should even come promote it. And you guys shouldn't really just say, hey, this is going to be on DAZN. No. If Tank's the A side, and plus Tank, even though it's a phony belt, Tank still has a phony belt. Something worth more than just Ryan Garcia without a belt, because what has Ryan done lately by went the distance with Emmanuel Togu, and Emmanuel Togu kind of made him look like shit.
By the way, a shout out to my homeboy Sin City Syndicate who says Raleigh's open MMA stance is his Achilles heel. Yeah, the guy absolutely squares up, and I honestly think that's exactly what Gervonta Tank Davis was waiting for, to see him square up like that and throw that punch and be off balance like he normally is. JC, nice to see you in the house. Raleigh is a product of social media and the YouTube boxing community. And Chicano Prophet says, Ryan Garcia fans still exist?
And he also has an OnlyFans, ladies.
That's too much information.
Hey, there's one reason to go to that Ryan Garcia fight, though. Have you seen the undercard?
No, I haven't. Who's on the?
It's supposed to be Estrada versus Chocolatito. It's supposed to be Estrada versus Chocolatito.
And you know what? That's probably going to be a better fight than that fight.
Oh, it's going to be a much better. The co-main will be a much better.
So
interesting. I'll definitely look out for that, Nando. I appreciate you calling in. One other guy that.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to drop off and listen in the chat, I appreciate you calling, Nando. I really appreciate it, and I hope you had a great time in Monterey. Thank you for the call. Drew, another guy that you've been very vocal about on our show on the SHoeshine is Teofimo Lopez was there in full support of Rolly Romero. And when he was asked afterwards in Brooklyn, Teofimo Lopez says he's the only guy to beat Tank Davis, but it has to be at 140 pounds. So I'm not sure why there's that caveat. I mean, he's really telling you, Teofimo Lopez is really letting everybody know, signaling, I will never go back to 135. Even though all the great fights, I still want to see him. Shouldn't he want a rematch with Kambosos? Shouldn't he be doing what Canelo's doing right now and saying, I want a rematch, but fight me at 168? Shouldn't Teofimo be saying, I want a rematch, Kambosos, but fight me at 140? Come on.
You know what? Only the dick riders, the Teofimo dick riders will believe that shit.
Well, Tio really thinks he can beat Gervonta Tank Davis. There's just like the list of people, of candidates to fight the so-called second biggest star in boxing include Kambosos, Devin Haney, okay? Who's Kambosos and Devin Haney. We're going to move right on over to them because that is the biggest fight I can think of for all 4 titles. That fight last weekend was entertaining, but that's not the biggest fight in boxing of the year. This is the one of them that's coming up right now this weekend in Australia. A spectacle on Saturday night, and I think it's going to be free for everyone to watch on ESPN. That's amazing. F the pay-per-views. You're going to get a fight for all the belts for undisputed at 135 pounds, and Devin Haney left the zone. Let's remind everybody, he left Eddie Hearn and said, I'm going to do what it takes to keep this. There's one thing, if you guys don't follow Devin Haney, he is wealthy. It's like retarded how wealthy he is for a guy who only has such a shitty resume. Drew, is Devin Haney's resume particularly special? Because if you take a look at all the Vegas fighters, man, Devin Haney is living fat. The guy's living like in a 12,000 square foot home. He's got a collection of the nicest cars. I think he's got a Maybach, and just to name some of the few cars he has. He's living fatter than Caleb Plant. And Caleb Plant actually hit the Canelo lottery. And if you look at their houses and toys, I'm going to have to say Devin Haney, for some reason, whatever he was getting paid with Eddie Hearn, it must have been pretty damn sweet because he lives a lot wealthier than the rest of the 135-pound lightweight champions and contenders.
Well, first of all, shout out to Caleb Plant for receiving a reward from the IBF for 3 successful title defenses of his IBF super middleweight title. And I even shout out to Caleb Plant.
All right, well, shout out to Caleb Plant.
P.S. I still think you beat Benavidez and Charlo.
Was that right?
Yes, he does.
All
and
right.
Tell you the truth, Devin Haney was overpaid for a lot of his fights. That's why he got all there.
He's been paid pretty damn. Look at his chain. Look at his chain in this picture right here.
Yeah, look at that chain. Look at that chain. What cane machine get that out of?
Oh man, there was a comedian. Who's that comedian? Morgan. He's funny as shit. He used to be on Saturday Night Live. He showed up at the Barclays Center and he was taunting Tracy Morgan. He's taunting all the other rappers and boxers. He had like 6 of the fattest fake gold chains. It reminded me of the Damon Wayans movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, in the 1990s. The Damon, if you've never seen I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, it's a classic Wayans movie.
I think that was Keenan Allen Williams.
Yes, it was. And the premise of that movie was the guy goes off to the Marines and he comes back to find out that his brother has died because he got addicted to wearing gold chains. And he started wearing so many gold chains that his neck snapped. So his brother went on a mission to find these gold chain dealers that were ruining the black community. Devin Haney has one too many chains in that picture, man. I don't know if the gold is going to help the brother in the land down under, Drew, but we're just the weekend away, man. Here it is, man. Devin Haney going, he's going to Australia. He's there by himself without his dad. You mentioned to me he's there with Zab Judah's father.
You know what?
What's going to happen? I mean, I'm going
to be honest.
I'm invested now.
I think George Kambosos this fight's going to end on a TKO. I think George Kambosos is going to stop Devin Haney. I'm gonna tell people this right now. Ish Smith, he was on the Mayweather stable. He was a former 154-pound champion. He went through a lot of shit. So I saw him on Twitter. Said some nice thing about Kambosos and everything. Run to fight the best at his weight class and everything. But he thinks Haney was the fight. I was like, I especially disagree with you. Devin Haney's defense is a liability. If you saw the Jojo Diaz fight, if you saw the Nahoy and Linares fight, it's a liability. And his chin's a liability still. I really think this ends in a TKO victory for George Kambosos. I think it ends in 8 or 9. I just don't think Devin Haney is disciplined enough is defensively disciplined enough to win this fight.
Oh, man, you're right about there's a lot of stuff going on, especially being in the right frame of mind. You have to be in the right frame of mind. And I've got this great comment. It's a little bit late, but hey, man, it's a great comment. Sin City Syndicate says, I've been telling y'all Ryan Garcia's mental health issues have something to do with gambling. He made a bet with Spence Saturday on TV for $20,000. If Errol had made that same bet in Vegas, he would have had to put up $180,000 to win $20,000. Drew, you told me about that bet, and then I saw them exchange. He was actually saying, I'm willing to pay up. Give me your information to wire you the money. He does like to mess around with money like that, man. This fight Saturday, I don't know what the odds are saying yet, but Devin Haney's going to have to pull off a masterpiece of a boxing performance because I don't think he's knocking out Kambosos, man. Is he going to pull off a masterpiece performance when Manny Pacquiao didn't get the nod against Jeff Horn?
There's only one way Haney wins this fight. Poison Mayweather on one.
And what's that?
Poison Mayweather and one round.
Man.
But I don't even think he gets it. I don't think he wins a decision in Australia. I think the only way Haney wins a fight in Australia if he knocks Kambosos out. And I'll tell you the truth, he's pillow fisted. No, he ain't knocking nobody. He ain't knocking Kambosos out. If Teofimo couldn't knock out Kambosos, Haney ain't doing it. Haney is more likely to get knocked out. Haney's more likely to get hurt in this fight.
Which he got hurt against Linares, the aging champion, yes. Venezuelan champion. He was visibly shaken up from round 10 to round 12. And the legs actually didn't get underneath him for several rounds. It took the recovery time is very worrying.
What did he do for a round and a half after he got hit?
Shit, remind me, was he dancing, clinching?
He was holding for like a whole round and a half without throwing punches. And like, they should have got one by taking points. So he should have got deducted points for that.
Well, let's talk, yeah, I want to talk about something Chicano Prophet just pointed out because I love gossip on Twitter, man. Boxing Twitter is great for that shit. And this was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it this morning when I woke up. And that's the fact that Kambosos had a press conference with Devin Haney and called him a rat. And shout out to Ray Liotta, one of the greatest Italian-American actors, man, because, hey, he was no rat, right? You saw Goodfellas, man. He didn't snitch, all right?
Time out. You can't tell, Dave.
Well, Ray Liotta in the movie was Irish and Italian.
He was Irish at the time, but we cannot. God rest his soul and everything. But Henry Hill, the guy he played, was a rat.
Was a rat. You're right. Henry Hill was a rat. And they're accusing, Kambosos is accusing Devin Haney of being a rat, Drew. He says that Devin Haney, in the build-up to their fight with Teo, was constantly text messaging him with personal information about Teofimo's camp. So therefore, he's a rat. It's somebody that can't be trusted. Is this a good tactic to get underneath Haney's skin, or is it just going over Haney's head?
Nah, I think this is going over Haney's head, but I'm going to say something about this right now. I had an argument with someone about this.
Rapper 6ix9ine?
No, not about 6ix9ine. Fuck 6ix9ine. I don't care about him.
But well, he's known as a well-known rat.
If you, yeah, he is. But if you look at it, the thing that got Teofimo beat was the blueprint Lomachenko did in the second half of the fight. How he hurt Teofimo in that fight and could have stopped him. That's what did it. And then people are like this, well, Teo gave the blueprint how to beat Lomachenko, but how can you say that? Well, a guy that struggled after the fight, he fought a guy that fought Teofimo, that Teofimo struggled against in Nakatani, and Lomachenko dominated and stopped him when Teofimo struggled and couldn't stop him. I tell people, man. Like, I rest my case. Lomachenko gave the blueprint how to beat Teofimo. Devin Haney don't know shit. People tell you the truth right now. If you see Linares and Jojo Diaz, they gave the blueprint how to beat Devin Haney.
Very, very interesting, man. And you know what? What happens if Kambosos does knock out Devin Haney? All right, all these people saying that Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis is the biggest fight in boxing you can make, maybe from a financial viewpoint. I don't know, maybe from a casual or maybe from pay-per-view numbers. But isn't it really the biggest fight in boxing? Isn't it going to be Kambosos versus Gervonta Tank Davis, the guy who defended his title, the 4 titles? Isn't that the real fight to make it lightweight?
If he does stop Devin Haney, everybody's going to praise me on Twitter because they're going to say how white Drew was about this fight. And people, you want to praise me, just tag me in a tweet. Tag me on Instagram if you want. And praise me on that. Just say Drew is fucking great when it comes to talking boxing. I know. Thank you.
Oh, shit. Hey, guys, I want to share this with you guys. I caught this on Twitter this weekend, but we were talking about Ryan Garcia quite a bit because he was at the fight and whatnot, and he's a lightweight. But this is Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero sparring. Is that really them? I mean, it sure does look like them. They say that's Rolly Romero manhandling Ryan Garcia right there. That look funny to you?
Yeah, it does.
A lot of shit happens in those Vegas gyms, man. A lot of shit happens. I mean, that's why Devin Haney left the Dub Nation, Oakland. He left us here in Oakland in the Bay Area to move to Vegas because, you know, that's where you're going to get all the quality trainers and sparring and whatnot and preparations. It is the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. So, hey,
you know what?
Devin Haney,
Devin
Haney has got his hands full this weekend, man. And I don't know how the technology is going to work. They say that his father will be able to talk to him in the ring in between rounds. You think that's going to be successful? Plus having the father of Zab Judah?
You know what? Nepal, you're right. $5 Cash App. You got that right. Nepal's a fucking genius, man. Fucking genius, man. Gotta love him.
All
but
right.
like, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work. I think it's like awkward. I'm gonna be like this when you hear him on the phone. Awkward.
Awkward it is, man. Yep. Well, hey, they got a rematch clause. It's built in, man. Devin Haney is not going to get just a one and done shot. It looks like if he does get knocked out, he's going to get an opportunity to get a rematch and then maybe a third fight with Top Rank, from what I understand, Drew. So I am anxiously awaiting what is going to happen. The lightweight conversation, the lightweights are absolutely back. They were, to me, in 2021, the biggest draw in boxing, the lightweight. And all of a sudden, things are kind of heating back up in that division again. Absolutely, with this undisputed fight coming up. If we get a new undisputed champ in Haney, that'll be literally that those guys defended that title only once, Drew. Teofimo Lopez was only able to manage defend the undisputed once. If Haney beats Kambosos...
Gotta cut you off.
Yeah.
Gotta cut you off.
Please do.
Teofimo was not undisputed. That franchise belt is not a title.
Okay, so is Kambosos undisputed?
Hell no, because he's not one of the 7 guys that's undisputed. Hell no, I do not count him as undisputed either.
Well,
Loma wasn't even undisputed.
Why? Because Haney's got the franchise
belt.
Oh my goodness.
Haney got the real belt.
But he got the real belt via email.
Yeah, it's a fucking email, but it's still a fucking belt. Who gives a fuck how he got it?
This is why casual boxing fans are like, fuck this sport. I can't understand this sport. What do you mean they got more than one champion in each weight class, man? That doesn't happen in the WWE. Does it? Do they have more than one title in the WWE? I mean, it's why casual boxing fans are like,
there's lots. There's like tag team titles. Like, God, really gotta talk about that.
The UFC don't have more than one champion in their division in each.
Yeah, they do. They got interim belts.
Oh shit! This is
fuck
what's wrong
them.
with combat sports, man. All right, all right, guys. That's this Saturday, June 4th. But there's also a very, very special fight, Drew. Very special. Let's not forget that Showtime Sports is going to be having Stephen Fulton from Philadelphia, who I think got a gift decision finally. I don't know, man. That win was a little dubious. Versus Southern California's Danny Roman, who I had the pleasure of interviewing with D-Styles over on D-Styles' show. Danny Roman of Thompson Boxing, former champion, Drew, says this is his path to redemption, that he is going to recapture a title, and that eventually he is going to try to get that rematch with that MJ guy who took his belt in a very close fight, man. Drew, first of all, do we agree that Stephen Fulton didn't look that great against his prior Mexican-American opponent? Because a lot of people think he got maybe a gift decision in that fight.
Well, against Figueroa? I thought he beat Figueroa.
A lot of people think it was close, or could have been Figueroa that
No,
won that, edged it out.
I had it 8-4 for Fulton. Like Figueroa, he was busier, but he was not landing. And the thing about it is, Fulton was known to more accurate shots.
Well, it's very arguable. So I'm going to ask you right now, man. Does Danny Roman upset Stephen Fulton, a fighter from a different promotional company from Thompson Boxing, coming over to Showtime to reclaim his stake in that division? I really think he's motivated as hell, man. I'm going to put it out there. I think he edges out this victory, but it is going to be, we're going to be in treat for two fantastic fights, world title fights this Saturday, one on Showtime and one on ESPN. You say no. You're shaking your head. Stephen Fulton will remain undefeated. All right, guys. Drop that in there, man. You let me know if you think. Chicano Prophet says already, I thought it was close, but I had Fulton winning, but I think you're talking about the Figueroa fight. But who do you guys think wins this fight, man? Because, listen, Danny Roman is coming off, he's a resurgence in his career. You know, sometimes guys lose their titles and they have a resurgence, which is the same shit that Nonito Donaire, who is going over to Japan, is having at 39 years of age, is a resurgence in his career. Tremendous back-to-back victories, gaining a title. After having a fight of the year with Inoue, they are going back to do it again. Not tomorrow, but the following Tuesday, June 7th, on a very strange day. We're going to see probably potentially one of the fight of the years from Japan, the Bay Area's Nonito Donaire. He's my first favorite Filipino fighter, Drew, because he is from the Bay Area, from San Leandro originally, from the ways, by ways of the Philippines and whatnot, man. He is my favorite Filipino American fighter, and I hope that he does not get hurt against the monster anyway, Drew. All right, let's do our predictions. Let's just do our predictions for these three fights, Drew, and then get on to the gossip. 3 predictions. Here we go. Kambosos versus Haney. Kambosos versus Haney. Drew, you call it.
TKO 8 or 9 Kambosos.
Man, I thought that Haney was going to edge out this victory via boxing decision, but I know it's going to be nearly impossible. And if he gets hit again like he did against Linares, I think you're absolutely right that there could be the first stoppage of his career in deep water, 11th or 12th round stoppage. Kambosos wins that fight. All right, going on to this Saturday, Philadelphia, Stevens Fulton, or Southern California, Danny Roman. I'm going for Danny Roman. Danny Roman wins this in a split decision, a very close fight, 7-5. I hope he gets it, man. Drew?
Unanimous decision, Stephen Fulton.
Unanimous decision, Stephen Fulton. By the way, on that card, David Morrell at 168 pounds. He's a guy that he doesn't have that many fights, but of course, he's one of my favorite contenders at 168 pounds. He's actually a guy people like Caleb Plant and David Benavidez should be very worried about. Very worried about. And I think, honestly, that had Canelo had signed that career with PBC, he would have had 3 fantastic fights over there. He could have had Charlo, Benavidez, and David Morrell back-to-back in succession at 168 pounds. I think it was a missed opportunity now as we are about to embark on a national tour or an international tour of Gennady Golovkin, Canelo #3, Drew. That tour is set to kick off. But let me just, before we wrap up the show and give our final thoughts, man, because it is Memorial Day. Drew, I know you heard about this. I know everybody heard about this shit right here. But finally, Anthony Joshua has a trainer, and it's none other than California's Robert Garcia of Riverside, Robert Garcia camp. The Sonteo media is always taking pictures over there and videos at Robert Garcia's gym in Riverside. What were your thoughts on that, man, on his pick? He finally got a trainer. Is it going to help him?
Hell no, he's still going to get his ass kicked. Because here's the thing, man. You need a tune-up. It takes a couple fights to get acclimated to your trainer. He needs a tune-up. And you're going to come on a new trainer against Posse. No, matter of fact, he's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in Alexander the Tender Usyk, the unified heavyweight champion of the world. RIP to Anthony Joshua's boxing career, because that dude's getting put in retirement by Alexander Usyk.
Man, those are some strong words. You know, you're not the first person to second that it takes a while for a trainer and fighter to build that chemistry, right? Not only that, but to correct the mistakes that AJ has been making. I think it's kind of a long shot that Robert Garcia once heralded as trainer of the year to make those adjustments in AJ's game. You're not the only person on Twitter to say that, man, that there's really no saving AJ in his fight against Usyk, especially such a late replacement with Robert Garcia of Riverside in his corner, man. Do you understand the money that he had to pay Robert Garcia? From what I'm reading, Robert Garcia is going to pack up his bags and move to the UK for his entire training camp, you know, to get him away from Riverside and all the homies down there. No, he's paying him for the duration of the camp, man, to come in there and be his trainer. I think you're 100% right. This is not going to help him in the Usyk rematch at all. But, you know, congratulations to Robert Garcia for taking on the challenge. It is quite the challenge.
I'm going to give you a prediction right now for that fight. Alexander Usyk stops AJ in 8 rounds.
Oh, this time he's stopping him. Huh? Man. Guys, the fight this weekend, if you didn't pay for it, I did mention to a lot of people, we've had Jesus Ramos on D Styles' show, on HCP. We've had Jesus Ramos. We've interviewed him here on our show. He's a guy that a lot of insiders have been heralding as a contender to watch at 154 pounds. But I feel really bad for him because Twitter really bashed the undercard of this fight. He went 12 rounds against Luke Santa Maria, who gave his uncle, and only in a Mexican family can you fight the uncle in your previous fight and fight his nephew in the next fight. If you know what I'm saying, guys, right? Yeah, a lot of people canned his performance and said this shit looked like glorified sparring. It was boring as hell. Drew, to be honest, this guy Santa Maria is, for a Mexican-American fighter, he's slick, man. He's like Boo Boo Andre almost, man. He makes anybody look really bad. This is a guy who, on any given night, will make you look foolish. He's really slick. I got to give that guy Luke Santa Maria that. But it didn't amount to what the crowd really wanted to see. You go to attend the pay-per-view special, you're hyped as shit. You know Gervonta Tank Davis is a knockout artist. I think you're expecting everybody to get knocked out inside that ring. And when it goes the distance and nobody's getting hurt, it just amounts to a lot of boos. So he got heavily criticized, man. But I hope to see him. He learned something. I think he learned something in every fight, and I still think he's going to be a top contender at 154 pounds. Yes, Drew.
I'm gonna say something about Jesus Ramos because I saw the fight and everything. That dude, if you want to subscribe his style, it's basic, but it's not bad basic. It's good basic.
He's a southpaw too.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, he's not your typical Mexican fighter. He goes and he's a good boxer.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by basic.
Which was the other guy, surprisingly, too. Santa Maria is actually quite a skilled boxer, despite having 3 losses on his record. He's a guy that can box.
But I really think Jesus Ramos is going to be a problem for people. I really think Jesus Ramos is going to be a champion. I don't know if it's gonna be. I think I'm gonna be honest with you. Jesus Ramos is gonna be a 2-division champion at least.
Man, I'm excited about him, but that performance, he's definitely a big kid, and all the announcers made a point that he's gonna fight at middleweight. I think if they just groomed the kid correctly, he was listening to his corner, and when he needs to separate maybe from his father team, they'll do that. But if you put him in against Tim Tszyu or Fundora in his next fight, maybe he's not ready for that, and that's okay. Because his on Top Rank at 154 pounds, I'm going to say that Xander Zayas is not ready for those type of tests either, and they're virtually the same age. You know, they're like a year apart, literally.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Actually, they're a couple years apart. Xander's like 18, and it's like a 3-year difference. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I really think these two are the future of the 154 pounds, 160 pound division. Because I tell you, I think Xander Zales before he goes to a title fight, it won't be at 154. I think it'll be at 160 when he gets his first opportunity for a title. I think Jesus Ramos, borderline, it could be 160, it could be 154, but
it all depends on Charlo. You said, Charlo could be, he might defend these belts one time, 2 times, maybe. He might not defend them at all. We really don't know what Charlo's intentions are right now, and it opens up the doorway for all these exciting fighters like Tim Tszyu, like Fundora, like a young, Jesus Ramos Jr. at 154 pounds. You're right, Drew. Same thing with Xander Zayas. That kid, before I flinched, man, I met him when he was turning 18, coming out of high school, 147 pounds. Next time I see him, he's got a different haircut and his body's filling out. I don't even know how he's making 154. He's just hulking up big time. But PBC should put Ramos on the Jermell plan. No big fights until we see him in his 30s. That'll be a long time.
God forbid.
Oh, man. Hey, you know what? Jaime Munguia picked up his 154-pound title against a New York fighter who had just moved up from 147. Ali, what was his name? You remember that time? The time he won that title? It was easiest shit to ever do, man, to pick up that title at 154 for Jaime.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're floundering, and at 160 pounds, Janibek is being ordered to fight Andre. Andre is being ordered to fight Janibek by November or something, or forever vacate that 160 title. They haven't. They're giving him some time here, Drew.
I think Andre's moving up to 168. Like, he realizes he's not gonna unify at 160 because of Jamal Charlo, idiot's guide to making excuses not to fight nobody, and Triple G wanted to take Murata on and unified there. And then once this, I don't think he's moving up to pursue bigger opportunities to see he can nail a big fight at 168. Because, like, I'll be honest with you, Nando and Janibek stocks Mejia. But I think the division is still going to be a shit show because nobody's going to fight nobody. And, you're going to be seeing Janibek fuck up a bunch of guys that don't deserve to be in the ring with him, unfortunately. And Mejia, well, you know what the fuck Mejia's going to do. He's going to fight nobody either, like he always been. Like, unless you...
Well, he has an opponent, a guy named Kelly, man.
And who the fuck is Kelly? Like, I know a lot of Kellys. I know Kelly Oubre. I know fucking a couple girls named Kelly.
Yeah.
Like, let me just say, I'm going to say this right now. If anybody needs to look, I'm going to say something right now. Andre leaves the division. You want to know who's the best 160-pounder right there?
People are going to say it's going to be Charlo or it's going to be Janibek.
Hell no. I got somebody else that's bet that I think beats Charlo.
Do I have a drum roll?
It was Sandy Lara.
You threw me for a loop. I forgot Aries Leandro Lara. I forgot he fight on Saturday night. Yeah.
And I know you follow me too on Twitter, Laura. I got you.
Well, you know what? It just goes to show the whole even his performance was canned. Marquise John, who I enjoy following here on New York Fights, he said quality sparring to open the card. Davis Romero. Lou DeBella says, I'm aging watching Jesus Ramos fight. End already. I mean, that was just some of the trolling going on online. I know the Aries Londi Lara fight, people were shitting on him too for, taking so long to get the mustache man out of there when David Lemieux was able to do it so easily in dispatching Spike O'Sullivan.
Here's the thing. Law's like a boxer and everything. There's a difference. Law, like David Lemieux was a power punch and knockout artist. Law is just that boxer. And you see how Law was able to connect on the knockout punch and on the punches that hurt him.
Yeah.
I know it's a bum and everything, but it's got a good setup a little bit. I have to admit.
I have to admit, he's aging quite well, man. I get for Lara, the Cuban fighter. There's really no in telling how old they are. They say a lot of the Cuban fighters who've defected have
just like me
forged their birth certificate. He's aging very well, just like Drew Evo.
Just like me.
He's aging like a fine wine. Yeah, man, he's doing pretty good at 160 pounds. They've got some good names for him to fight. You know, hey, I know he used to be friends because they've trained out of the Houston area with the Charlos, but shit, that's if you're on the same stable, you know, it's business. Even if you have been sparring partners, friends, training partners, the hell with all that, man. Make that fight happen. Doesn't he have a title, a paper title, Lara?
He has another version of the WBA belt, and tell you the truth, that really makes him a mandatory for Triple G.
And that. To be honest, that I was like looking at my phone. Should I tweet this shit? Should I tweet this? Drew, I didn't tweet it, man, but it's been on my mind. Why the hell did we not get Lara versus Triple G? And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen now.
It's not. It's not going to happen.
But it could have happened.
Triple G.
And it's still a great fight. Still a great fight. And I'll tell you, I don't see Triple G coming back from 168 to 160. I think if he even comes close to beating Canelo, he's riding off into the sunset, and that's it.
I don't give a two fucks about that fight still. Eddie Horn, don't say if you have a brain, then you know Triple G Canelo 3 is more hyped up than Crawford Spence. You're a fucking idiot.
Damn. So now I know how you feel. Not hyped up about Gennady Golovkin 3 with Canelo, huh? They're not going to sell you even with that multi-city world tour to promote this fight. Can you only imagine if Riley Romero and Gervonta Tank Davis had done a world tour to promote this fight? They didn't even get the budget that Canelo Alvarez is getting to promote.
You go to Japan, you have Tank dress up as Ash Ketchum again from Pokemon. You have probably Wally dressed as Pikachu, if you want, or the abominable fucking snowman in that fucking jacket he wore. But Triple G, I'll tell you what, man. In Japan, let Triple G fucking dress up as Charizard or fucking Blastoise, and let fucking Canelo dress up as fucking Charizard or somebody. Oh, yeah, we got... Fuck, you know, at the end of the day, this fight should have happened a couple years ago. Not interested in it now. Who gives a fuck about it? Eddie Horn, shut the fuck up. You're not doing... You unjustify a lot of your fighters because you're on Canelo's dick.
So I know that a lot of people are banking on Canelo Alvarez getting one of those highlight career KOs against Gennady Golovkin, his nemesis. Man, I don't see it happening. I don't care how old Gennady Golovkin is. I know some of you are going to argue this back and forth that in this fight he murders 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. I say bullshit, man. I just saw him fight that Japanese guy. I think he's still got it in him to at least make this 12-round fight. And I think it's going to end up being one for the books, as is commonly said. It's one for the books, Drew.
I know I could teach you a lot of shit, man.
Hey, make sure you check out Al Chile this week, Chicano Profit, and everybody that supports the SHoeshine, all the great shows out in the YouTube boxing community. Appreciate you guys spending an hour with us on Memorial Day. Don't forget there's some great fights. World title fights, undisputed fights this weekend, down under fights. You remember that song? We come from the land down under.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm there from the 408 at Drew Evo. We'll catch you guys next Monday. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop us a comment on who wins this Kambosos fight. That really actually helps the algorithm. Let me know who you think is going to win the Kambosos fight and the Stephen Fulton versus Daniel Roman fight. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out, guys.
Praise me when he wins.
Peace.